Hey guys, this is Joseph Lucero with Harvesting Strength, and today what we're going to talk about is how to build the perfect power building program. So it probably is pretty obvious that you know what power building is. You, the person who's sitting there watching this video or standing in the room watching the video. But anyways, you know what power building is because you looked it up. Power building is kind of like how it sounds. It's a mix, it's a blend. It's powerlifting and bodybuilding put together into one. If you look up power building on Google, what's funny enough is one of my articles comes up that I wrote for Train Heroic. And I've talked about this concept a ton. I'm not saying I built it. I'm not saying I'm the pioneer of it. But I do know the history of it. I understand what power building is. And today I'm actually going to give you some tools, tips, and even a program inside the description that is all things power building. So if you feel like you want to get bigger, you want to get stronger, but you don't want to do like max effort neither, like you just want to get bigger, stronger, and be kind of equal, this is the video for you. This could also be a video for you if you're a powerlifter or a bodybuilder, and I'll explain why in a minute. But hopefully you walk away from this, you download my program below, and you have the resources, and you get to work. Super simple. So first thing, what is power building? Like I told you, it's a blend, powerlifting and bodybuilding. If you want to add a little bit more detail to that, it's a blend of powerlifting and bodybuilding, and it's in that order. Powerlifting comes first, and then bodybuilding comes second. So with powerlifting, we know that dominates, that dominates the top three movements of the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. And that is going to be the beginning of your workout. So you're going to take one of those big three movements that's going to be the catalyst to your workout. That's what's going to build the sweat to the workout. And that's what's going to be the biggest part of it, because squatting, benching, and deadlifting are going to use a ton of muscles. So you start your workout with a powerlifting compound movement, and then after that you start to blend into partially and then fully bodybuilding accessories to help not just focus on specific muscle groups and just recruiting them, but also exhausting them to massive fatigue, which will allow you to have more of a hypertrophic response, aka build a ton of muscle. So an example of a power building workout would be benching a top set of 5, doing some pause reps with bench press just to work on your technique and ability, and then doing 3 or 4 movements afterwards that really showcase not just your bench press, but also the muscles that train through the bench press, like your pecs, your triceps, your deltoids. So it could be like you go into dips, flies, front raises. That's what it is. It's a powerlifting movement or 2, and then the rest of it are accessories that really dominate more isolated single joint movements that really fatigue the muscle that's been trained. So like a squat and deadlift, a squat is legs, so then a bunch of leg accessories after the fact that are like isolated, and then deadlifting is pulling, some back accessories after the fact that really exaggerate your growth and development of your posterior anatomy. So power building, blend of 2 concepts. Powerlifting will come first, and then the bodybuilding stuff will come after, so you can focus and really hit those muscle groups tremendously. So the topic was how do we create this program. One of the things you need to focus on, okay, so you understand what power building is, briefly, right? One of the most important things you need to understand is how to develop the split. So when you create the perfect power building program, I think of 3 splits, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day. So the 3-day would be kind of like how it sounds, your squat day, your bench day, your deadlift day. If you go a 4-day split, you might squat and deadlift one day, but maybe more it's about the squat, and then you do like a variation of the deadlift that day. And then you bench press, and then the 3rd day, instead of focusing on squat being heavy, maybe you focus on deadlift being heavy, and then some squatting to be like a secondary movement that day, in addition to all your rowing and pulling. And then the 4th day would be a variation of your press. So it could be like a close grip press, an incline press, whatever. But it would be legs with some pulling, pressing. The 3rd day would be pulling with some legs. And then the 4th day would be pressing again. That might be a day where you allow your shoulders to thrive a bit more, maybe your arms and biceps. But if you did a 5-day split, it does get a little tricky because if we're talking about a high frequency of squatting, benching, and deadlifting, a 5-day traditionally would look like for me would be your back day, your chest day, your leg day, your shoulder day, and then your like arm day. That's like not power building, that's just like a traditional mindset. But what I can do to change that into power building is I can think, okay, my back day, I'm gonna have some deadlift. Pressing day is gonna have bench. Leg day is gonna have some squat. Shoulder day is gonna be overhead press. It's not a powerlifting movement, but we can just kind of roll with it that it's a big movement. And then your next arm day, you can do like a close grip press. The only problem with that split is day 1 you do back, day 3 you do legs. You gotta be careful because rest intervals in between, which will come in later, rest intervals are a huge indicator of success and failure. You gotta let yourself recover after a heavy squat day or a heavy deadlift day. We'll get to that in a minute though. So we defined power building, we talked about what are some dominant splits you'll see. Now, selecting your main compound lifts. So, like I told you before, on a power building workout, it's a squat, bench, or a deadlift, and then it's a variation. Usually the variations are gonna be movements that assist your weak points. Because let's go back to power building real quick. This is for people who want to get build size and build strength. Maybe they don't master size or they master strength. They have a blend of both. But I'm thinking if you want to get strong and build some size, you probably want to train your weak point. So let's say for me, my weak point of bench press is like the halfway mark. That means I'll start off with a bench press, and then maybe to assist my halfway mark, I could do like the pin press, I could do board pressing, I could do spoto press, something that targets my weak point. So, you know, when you're trying to build the perfect power building workout, you want to pick the traditional compound, squat, bench, deadlift, arguably the overhead, and then pick a variation that hits your weak points. And then from there, the last 3 or 4 movements need to be accessories that help challenge your full anatomy with a bodybuilding mindset, which typically means a lot of volume, a lot of time under tension, and then that mind-muscle connection. Being in the movement and allowing yourself to be fully submerged in it and thinking just about the movement. Because if I'm thinking just about bicep curls, I bet you I recruit more of the bicep fibers because I'm in the moment. I'm not just kind of doing it for fun. So that's how you select your main compounds. I have a list, and this is a long ass list, so I'm gonna try to bounce around a little bit. It says choose your accessories. You're basically just trying to hit all the muscle groups. So like if you realize during the week you didn't hit biceps, you got hit biceps at some point, etc. A lot of that, choosing your accessory, will be actually in the downloadable below in the description. So I don't want to waste too much time talking about that stuff, but I will say this. When you choose your accessories, you gotta have in mind, are you gonna hit volume? Are you gonna hit time under tension? And then like, are you doing enough of certain muscle groups to let them thrive? So a lot of times when you are a power lifter, you're gonna work a lot of pecs, triceps, deltoids, back, legs, but you might be neglecting your bicep. You might be neglecting your medial deltoid, your rear deltoid. You know, so you gotta be very careful with that. So in the program below, I'll try to give you some ideas of like, hey, on day 1, do a powerlifting movement, do a variation, and then focus on your glutes, and then your hamstrings, and then your quads at the end. So I'll kind of give you some ideas of like, hey, insert quad movement here, insert medial deltoid exercise here, insert vertical press here, horizontal press here, because that's kind of the big deal. When you train for success, you have to train all planes of movement. And I've said this in all my videos. So you can't just do exercises that go forwards and backwards. You gotta go also up and down. You gotta go side to side, outward, inward. So you gotta cover all your bases to hit all the muscle groups. And if you're not sure what all the movement phases are, sagittal, frontal, transverse, look it up on Google. You'll thank me later. If you hit all of those, you're gonna pretty much target all the muscle groups in your body to be successful. I'm getting sweat underneath my pecs. So determining sets, reps, and weekly volume, that's kind of hard. That's why you have the downloadable below. But I will tell you this, if you were to look at training like a seesaw, at first you want, this is probably in the different perspective. It's probably better if I do this. You want a lot of volume up front. So like with your main movements, you want to have 5, 6, 8 reps. your accessories 10, 12, 15, 20 reps or more. But then as time goes on, you want to go less. Instead of 8 reps, now it's 6, now it's 5, now it's 3, okay? So the volume goes down so that the intensity can go up, okay? It's opposite. So if your volume goes down, your strength's gonna go up, because if you do less reps, you will do more weight, and then the intensity increases. But how you determine that, I usually tell people linear periodization is super simple. It doesn't work for everybody once you become more advanced, but I mean, if you're kind of looking for a big, easy mass population answer, I think linear periodization is the way to go. But if you are someone watching this video thinking, I kind of need a little bit more attention to my program, then you probably want to reach out to a professional, and I can help you figure that stuff out too. Just look at the links below and you'll find a way to be able to contact me, and I can figure that stuff out with you. So that brings me to my next point: how do you manage fatigue? Because here's the problem. The less reps you do, the intensity is increasing. That means you need more time for recovery. So every 4 weeks, you want to do a light week. So let's pretend we're building a power building program for 12 weeks. The first 3 weeks, we focus on reps of 6. The second 4 weeks, we focus on sets of 5. And then the last 4 weeks, we focus on sets of 3, okay? So because that's going down, the intensity is climbing. So every 4th week, you want to do a deload. And usually what I tell a lot of my clients is, hey, on that 4th week, take 80% of what you've done the previous week, whether it's the volume or the weight, use that, and that'll be your deload. So let's say you did 10 reps at 300 pounds on your previous week. So you worked up to 3 weeks. Week 1, you did so much. Week 2, you did so much. But then week 3, you did 10 reps at 300. Whatever that exercise is, if you're gonna take 80% of that for the 4th week, that means 80% of 10 reps is 8 reps. So you drop that at 8 reps. Instead of 300 pounds, it's gonna be 240 pounds. So there you go. Instead of doing 3 sets of 10 at 300 on your deload, it's 3 sets of 8 at 240. And when you run through that, you'll have just enough stimulus to know you're working out, but it's light enough to where you're not overdoing your anatomy. So big scheme of programming, especially if you're trying to build your perfect power building program, is every 4th week, you want to go about 80% effort, whether it's volume or it's intensity, okay? And I kind of framed this 12-week idea. I am still unsure of how I'm going to approach this program in the description below, but once you download it, once you see it, hopefully it's something that meets your needs, and if not, you can contact me and I can give you more support to help you with that. Common power building mistakes. I think the biggest mistake is people go to failure on everything. Think about this real quick. I need your attention for about 90 seconds. I keep things simple. If you were to go to failure on leg press, or if you go to failure on squat, which one would be the worst mistake? It'd be the squat. And I'll tell you why. When you squat, that's an open movement. You have to coordinate your core, you have to coordinate your glutes, you have to coordinate tons of muscles. So a squat, you're using a gajillion muscles. But when you leg press, you're taking your upper body out of the equation. You're just doing legs. It's simple, it's fixated. The movement is on a machine, so it's just, focus on effort, you focus on your effort. You don't have to worry about coordination. So I bring that up because a lot of people will burn out on big open movements. I would say most open big movements like squatting, deadlifting, etc., don't go to failure. Have a predetermined number. 6 reps at 400, 5 reps at 500, 3 reps at 550, okay? Keep it simple there. When you do a good power building program, the main movement you're doing, your squat, your bench, your deadlift, should be the catalyst. That's good. That's what's going to get you to sweat. That's what's going to make you use all these muscle groups. Because now at that point, you have stimulated not just your muscular system, but your endocrine system too, so that it's going to be secreting levels of growth hormone, testosterone. So if you do big compound heavy movements, you use more muscle, there's a bigger metabolic response. So then that's why at the end of the workout, all the little bodybuilding stuff, they're gonna thrive off the fact you're metabolic. So I almost, as a cheat code, tell people, if you got small arms, you should do arms on leg day. Because if you do all this leg stuff and you're sweating, you're exhausted, you have this huge metabolic response, if you do biceps at the end of that, they're going to thrive in that metabolic scenario. And they're going to get even bigger versus going to the gym and just doing biceps from start to finish. Okay, so don't be a dumbass like some of these frat daddies who walk on sorority row at Friday night. You want to calm yourself down and you want to think smart and train better. So yeah, that is kind of like my big grand scheme of things. So to review real quick, how to build the perfect powerbuilding program. You got to understand what powerbuilding is. You got to leverage your powerlifting movements and your bodybuilding movements. Understand the powerlifting movements are going to make you more metabolic, so that at that point, the bodybuilding movements you do after the fact are going to have more of a benefit. You can follow a 3-day, a 4-day, or a 5-day split. Just make sure you start off with a couple powerlifting movements and then 3 or 4 bodybuilding movements after the fact. Your volume should be high at the front end, and as time goes on, your volume should decrease because the intensity is increasing. And, you know, if you want to thank anybody in the arena of powerbuilding, you should probably thank some of the founding fathers of powerbuilding. I know I'm going to mess up, so if I do, please leave it in the comments below and shame me. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, huge bodybuilder, but guess what? He started off as a powerlifter. He actually competed, I think it was like 19. But yeah, that was where he started his lifting. If you go watch, it's free on YouTube. If you go watch Pumping Iron, you'll see he's doing the main movements: squatting, benching, deadlifting, bent row. Okay, so proof's in the pudding. Also, Ronnie Coleman, kind of like Arnold, began as a powerlifter, and then from there he leveraged his compounds and then did all the bodybuilding stuff after the fact, and he got massively huge. But you know, anabolics are a hell of a drug, right? But anyways, so this is how to build the perfect powerbuilding program. I've given you the tools. I know I kind of ran through it fast. I ran through it, 17 minutes. Damn, I gotta get going. I gotta go drink some bourbon. I got bourbon night with the guys. So anyways, I hope you loved the video. I got a great downloadable below, so feel free to check that out. If it doesn't work, or if you want more information, check us out at www.harvestingstrength.com. The link's below as well. Contact me, and I'll catch you next time.